Hey guys, welcome to Waypoint X. My name is Judd, and the long anticipated Jeep walk around of our Jeep is up next. So stay tuned.
Here you go. You're coming into the, there you go.
Hey guys, welcome back. And I know this video y'all have wanted for a really long time, and we're gonna go over everything, whether it's front, rear, interior, we're gonna give it to you. So everything will be in the description below. If you have a question, hit that comment section up. We'll try to answer it the best to our ability. But like I said, we're gonna put everything in the description. So if you have any questions about what we might've said for fenders or bumpers or where you can get that, we will leave it all in there. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave us a like, and hit that bell for all notifications. But let's get started. All right guys, so just to start off with, this is a 2009 Jeep Wrangler JKU Sport. It is a sport, unlike most people think it's a Rubicon. It's just a sport. We bought it around 2012-ish, had 33,000 miles. It's up to 184,000 miles, still with the 3.8 inside of it. And so it's going strong. Keep the oil change every 3,000 miles, maybe a little sooner, and keep that air filter clean, and we should be good to go. After that, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna start up front and move around to the sides, tell you about suspension and everything else. All right guys, so to start off up front, we have the Rusty's JK bumper. Now, he first initially made this for the JL, and I said, Rusty, you gotta make it for the JK, and he finally did. So we have, like I said, the Rusty's JK front bumper. We've got a Warren VR10S that's with the synthetic line up front. We've had this basically since we put a front bumper on the Jeep, and it has lasted quite a while. We probably need an upgrade very, very soon. So put in the comment section below of what we should go to next. Should we go back with a Warren, or should we go with one of the new Harbor Freights? Kind of up in the air. Next, we have a Factor 55 Fairlead. This is the 1.5 inch, so you have a bigger radius angle through here. We also have a Factor 55 Flat Link E, so it's got the bigger hole up front, so you can connect to factory style bumpers, so you can hit that hook with that opening. Just some normal D-rings on here. We got some Baja design lights. They do have the amber cover to them, so it cut through the dust a little bit better. But overall, up front, that's about it. If you see these lights up front, we used to have them hooked up to where they would flash red and white because we had the firefighter theme, because I am a firefighter. So those aren't hooked up yet. Maybe we'll hook those up in the near future. These are just some aftermarket LED lights that you can kind of get off Amazon. And just to kind of, while we're here, we do have a transmission cooler. And then below that, we do have a PSC cooler for our Ram Assist that we will talk about later. So we forgot to mention up front, but we do have the JL hood latches. So these are just your standard JL hood latch that you had to kind of modify to fit the JK. We like them a lot better, and it keeps our hood from fluttering going down the road. And so it keeps everything nice and tight. Kind of go up here, we also have some Baja Design Squadron sport lights right here. These are kind of pointed down to the ground. That one got hit by a tree, I think, not too long ago, so it's pointed up. But these are kind of pointed down into that area, so when you are off-road at night, you can kind of see off to the side. Going over to the side of the Jeep, we have the Rusty's skinny flares. We like them because they are skinny, so we can flex a little bit more, kind of keeps them tucked up and out of the way, and it keeps everything protected. Unfortunately, with a 40 and wide axles, it does get mud all up and down the Jeep, but I like the 40s way too much to care. Now we're gonna go over wheels, tires, suspension, axles. So let's get started. But right here, we've got a 40-inch by 13.5 by 17 Baja Boss. Loving this tire. So this was actually a tire that we just were able to get during COVID. That's about all that was left out there. But actually, we really love it, actually. All the corners are really rounded off. You can heat them up even though they're not as sticky. Wish we were getting stickies, but those are not on the checkbook right now. Can't afford those just yet. But I'm really surprised about how well the sidewalls are. So we actually have a tire that we'll show you here in just a minute. The belt has broken because we got it stuck underneath a ledge and a root and everything, and it actually blew out the belt where it's bulged out right here. We're still running that tire. We haven't put the spare on at all, and haven't had any problems with it. Eventually we probably will, but not as of yet. So can't complain about the tires. Going down to the wheels, these are the KMC grenade crawls. They were all machined at one point. We did powder coat the interior because that's all you could get during the COVID time, so that's what we got. And we are running the Warren hubs, which takes us to the axles, which I forgot one thing. We are running the power tank monster valves to air up and air down. But let's go back to the axles. So like I said, Warren hubs, those are the locking hubs for the 60. We are running a matching set of 2010 Ford F-250 axles. So we got the 60 front, Sterling rear, and we'll talk about the rear when we go to the rear of the Jeep. But for the front, we have the R-Tech truss on that Dana 60 with all the bracketry that we need to make that happen. The only thing that we have changed is we have moved the shock reservoir, or shock brackets further outboard on the axle in order to make these nice Fox 2.5 shocks work. We needed to go more outboard so when we do flex that the body of the shock does not get into the frame. All of this has been a journey, guys, because when we went with the bigger shocks, we had to make all those adjustments, which means we needed to pull the whole axle out and kind of do some different things. But going back to the axles, before we get into the lift kit, like I said, this is a Dana 60. We're running 538 gears, front and rear, and then we've got a Grizzly up front, and we'll talk about the rear here in just a minute. But we got the Grizzly up front, you know, aftermarket, heavy duty cover on the front. All the steering is Rusty's builder parts. So we got all the tube from them, all the Heim joints, and basically we custom made it for our Jeep. Right here you'll see the TMR bracket. That is our track bar bracket that needed to move the track bar up more to get it off of the pumpkin, because at full flex, if you leave it in the stock location, the track bar will come in contact with the top of that housing. So you want to go ahead and take care of that. The reason we went with the Grizzly in the front was because we had an e-locker in the front at first, and we went through 2 of them and both of them failed. And so we decided to get rid of that and go with the Grizzly. Everything is factory on these axles. And what I mean by factory is that we're running, like, you know, factory brakes, factory rotors, you know, the hubs and everything are factory. The locking hub part is Warren. That's the only basically aftermarket part that we put on them. And the reason is we want to be able to go to O'Reilly's, Advanced, or wherever and be able to buy these parts right off the shelf and not have to special order anything. We are running the lines to make sure that, you know, all the speed sensors work for the Jeep, things of that nature, all the sensors. But we wanted to just be able to go to any part store and buy parts. And so that has really been a blessing in disguise. So that way, you know, for warranty, stuff like that, we can get parts readily available if we were to break off-road. Ball joints are just some Moog ball joints. We did go with some different custom seals, inner seals. We were having some inner axle seal problems, but we went with busted knuckle off-road inner axle seals. Absolutely a game changer, because we were really having some issues in that department. The axle shaft was wanting to get stuck on the axle seals and basically destroy themselves, and no bueno, because then you start leaking fluid everywhere. But now let's go on to the lift kit. Going with the suspension, we're going to talk about the shocks here in just one more minute. But this is a Rusty 5 3/4 inch lift with the long arm. The front long arm kit is a little bit custom. We had to go with a little bit longer links and some different dimensions on the links in order to make sure that the 60 worked. But like I said, 5 3/4 front and rear. These shocks, what we talked about earlier, they are the 2.5 Fox shocks, and they're custom tuned by AccuTune via the weight of the Jeep. And they do have the high speed and low speed adjusters on them, and it really does make a difference on the ride quality. The only reason we had to wait to do this video was we had to move those shock brackets more outboard, like I said earlier, to clear the bigger shocks. All the brake lines and stuff are just braided brake lines like normal that you should have on your Jeep in order to lessen the risk of brake line tears. On the steering, We do have a PSC ram, as well as the PSC big bore gear. Makes the world of difference. We do have the reservoir and their power steering pump, and it's about the only way that you're going to move these 40s. But like I said, all of the steering is basically custom made via builder parts via Rusty's. So can't thank Rusty's enough. And man, AccuTune did an awesome job on these shocks. So let's move down the Jeep and we will get to the rear axle here shortly. Before we go over some of this armor, we are running Adams 1350 drive shafts front and rear. We can't thank Adams enough. They've been a huge support to us, and we really do appreciate them. We had them when we had the 44s, and now that we have the 1 tons, we've beat on them, and their customer service is awesome. So thank you to Adams. But going on to the side of the Jeep, we did go ahead and get us some Mopar half doors. We've had many different half doors on this Jeep, but we finally went with the real things, and there's no substitute. Absolutely no substitute for these half doors. Absolutely love them. We did wrap them, which this whole Jeep, by the way, is getting re-wrapped. It's going to be really, really close to this, but it is going to be re-wrapped very, very soon. Going on, we have the Rusty's body armor and the rockers. Absolutely love them. We've beaten them to death. They're scratched all underneath. But yeah, really, really good stuff. But moving on to the back, as we move back to the back, we do have the Rusty skinny flares front and rear. The only problem with the skinny flare, on any skinny flare, is that you have mud going all the way up and down the Jeep, but it's what happens when you have a 40, so it just is what it is. The rear corner armor, we do have, this is from Moto Built, and we just have some Amazon special lights in the back, and nothing crazy there. We are running a Best Top Trek top. We do have the windows out just to kind of show you some features of the inside. We usually have those on. Big Waypoint X right here to kind of show you where you need to go as far as, you know, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So don't forget to go check us out and hit that subscribe button while you're here. Going to the rear of the Jeep, as far as the axle is concerned, it is a Sterling axle with the Artec truss in the rear. We do have the Fox shocks in the rear as well. This long arm kit in the rear is fully off the shelf. So you can go to Rusty's today, buy this kit, and if you're trying to do the front kit the same way, we can work with you and get those measurements for those custom made links. No issues, but like I said, this is right off the shelf. But you're gonna ask, how do we fit the Sterling? Well, Sledgehammer is your friend, because a Sterling doesn't always wanna, you know, the Sterling is offset just enough to where it hits the side of the gas tank. We have cleared that gas tank to the point where we don't have to worry about it. We did trim the axle just a little bit, but we have zero clearancing issues. We have a Rusty's track bar, and we've had zero issues. Talking about sway bar, we do run a factory sway bar still. We did break ours last year in Paladura. We don't run a front one at all. With the shock setup that we have and the little road travel we do with this Jeep, we really don't ever run one, and it really doesn't have a problem. We don't have a problem with it because this Jeep will run 70 down the interstate. Now, it might take a minute for it to get there because it still has the 3.8 in it. But when it gets to 70, I can put one finger on the steering wheel and have zero issues taking corners or anything like that. I feel completely safe inside the Jeep. Everything else, you know, we just have some just regular bump stops in the rear, nothing fancy. We don't have any hydro bumps or anything like that. Like we said earlier, you'll see the lights from time to time. We don't have those hooked up just as of yet. They used to be, but we haven't reran the wires after doing some of the conversions that we did inside the Jeep. In the rear, we have a factory Ford locker, e-locker in the rear. Hasn't had an issue. We haven't had zero issues out of that. We are still running factory shafts, 538 gears, just like the front. But yeah, great rear axle. Got a custom just cover on the front, just a regular old beefy cover, so we don't have any issues there. But let's move on to the back of the Jeep so that we can see all the goodies in the rear. Going to the rear, guys, this might be blurred out, but I am a firefighter in Alabama, so that's why we put our tag there. It is zip tied as of now because we have taken off our tire, big old tire here that weighed a ton of weight. It was just kind of weighing us down. As much recovery gear and tools that we bring out on the trail, we don't think we need a spare tire, especially after the tire incident that we did have, that it held up so well. We just kind of keep it on the trailer or in the bed of the truck, and if we need it, we'll go get it. So it's really not an issue. We are running the Rusty's off-road bumper and fascia piece. Really like the way that this looks. This is just an Amazon special chase bar. It's worked fabulous for us, have had no issues. This is the Rusty's tire carrier, which would hold a tire here. We're trying to figure out what we want to do here to basically hold our license plate, as well as we want to add, you know, a backup light, possibly a rear camera at some point. But we haven't decided what we want to do here, but that's just kind of in the works. This is our antenna for our rugged radio GMRS radio that we have up in the front, and we'll show you that a little bit later. But underneath, that's the Sterling, got our shocks and everything like that. We need to redo the brake lines because they're getting into the shocks. But besides it needs to be painted a little bit, besides from all the rocks that we've hit. It's really worked really well. One reason we took off the soft top was to show you this. So we made this, my dad and I made this a long time ago. It's basically a custom shelf to kind of cover everything up that we need inside the Jeep, but we are running a ARB twin air compressor. We also run a power tank from time to time depending on the needs of the trip, but been an awesome thing to have on the Jeep, just having onboard air all the time. All right guys, to start off with the interior, we've got the rock hard cage in here, not the rear, just the front. We rarely have anybody ever in the back, but eventually we'll do a full custom cage at some point, just not in the near future. Going to the seats, we have the Mastercraft Baja RS seats with the harness system. It is a 5-point harness system, but we've only set it up as a 4-point. We're just not doing anything crazy or going through the desert to high speeds. This old 3.8 ain't gonna do it. So good luck getting to 70 on the interstate. She'll get there, it just might take a few miles. Going on, we do have a hike it in here. We very rarely use it. There's just some instances we will use it, but most of the time on the trail as we're crawling, it always stays off. Up here, we have a Trail Dash Super Chips that will read out our temperatures when we need to see those. Going across the front, we have 67 Designs phone holders, and then we have our S-Pod that is mounted to 67 Designs as well. So this gives us everything, whether it's our fog lights or our rear locker, chase light, anything of that matter, it's all up here. Going to the center, we do have a light that turns on our KC light here, which is a diffused light just to have a cab light at night. Now, rock lights underneath, we have the KC Cyclones underneath. They're in critical locations, so right after the axle, right before the rear axle, one that sits over the rear axle, and then we have one that sits over the front axle, and then we've also added one up underneath the hood, so if you are having to do any diagnostic work at night, you do have a light that is underneath the hood, because this model did not come with lights under the hood. We have the Stinger off-road radio for the JK. Great setup. Our factory radio finally died on us from many years of use, so we put a new one in there. Love to have that. We also have our rugged radio GMRS radio here that is held in by the Jeep Unique mount. This is just our handheld, so if we get out of the Jeep, we have actually many more of these, but this is one that we can get to quickly. This is our iPad holder, so this runs navigation for us off-road, things of that nature, really easily. I think I've already mentioned the KC lights, but going here we have the rugged radio GMRS. This is the 45 version, and you saw the antenna in the back, but also radio to have. In the future, we are going to go to the full setup for headsets and things of that nature when it does get loud. When we don't have the top on, so can't hear anyway. So need to have some headsets. We do, like I said, we do have a PA system in here that does have a siren on it if you need to, just to scare people. But the PA system does come in handy from time to time. And then we do have some other switches down here that control our chase bar and things of that nature, and that interior light that I was talking about. Besides that, in the back, we do have a fire extinguisher on the roll cage. And then in the floor, we have Armor Light floor linings. They've been absolutely wonderful. There's just no way to get mud out of any floor lining really that well. But for all the floors out there for Jeeps, I will recommend Armor Light. It's been awesome. Besides that, I think that's everything inside the Jeep. You always got to have a good old map, and one of our favorite places, Stony Lonesome, even though I don't even need the map half the time. You never know when you can help a person on the trail out at Stony. So we're always big supporters of Stony Lonesome, so always got to have that in the trail. And I think that's about everything, Kate. What do you think? She's nodding her head behind the camera. A few more things and then we'll talk about what we actually put inside of our Jeep. But underneath we have Rusty's off-road skid plates, whether it's the engine, transmission, transfer case, evap, all those are Rusty's skid plates. And like I said, they're absolutely beefy and we have beat on them time and time again and haven't had any issues. But going back to what we kind of have inside the Jeep, we went back outside to talk about inside. But we carry a lot of tools with us, whether it's recovery gear, and a little bit about recovery gear. We're big on recovery. We love doing it, love helping people out and getting people out of situations that is just unnormal. So we find some sticky situations that we have to get people out of from time to time. But all our recovery gear is Rhino USA, absolutely quality stuff, love it, and we really do appreciate them. And they have helped us many, many times get unstuck and get other people off the trail. As far as tools, like I said, we bring sockets, screwdrivers, wrenches, you name it, we bring it. Welders, grinders, we can get you off the trail. So if you ever are stuck and you are in the Alabama, Birmingham metro area or in the surrounding area, whether you're in Talladega National Forest, out at Stony or something like that, and you have a major trail repair, something that you need done, definitely check us out on Facebook and Instagram. You can email us and we can possibly try to come help you depending on where we're at, because we might be across the country wheeling. So, but always check us out to see if we can help you first. Like you said, if you see any of these parts on our Jeep, if you have any questions, hit that comment section below. Look at that description because you'll see all the different links to all these different parts in the description. But if you have any questions and you would like to order something, we can get you all these parts ordered. If you'll go check our basically our sister company, Waypoint X Garage, so that's waypointxgarage.com, and send us a message through there. We are keeping waypointx.net for all of our adventures and our YouTube channel for all our adventures and where we go with our Jeep and all of our journeys and travels across the country. So guys, we really do appreciate it. I hope I haven't missed anything on this Jeep. There's a lot to cover and I probably missed one or two things, so if you hear a voiceover, that's where it came from. But hit that subscribe button, leave us a like, leave us a comment, hit that bell for all notifications, and we hope to see you out on the trail.